We know the White House will be accountable to our community. For 4 years, our country has been run by inexperience and corruption, but we have the chance to turn it around with values rooted in our common goals and the leadership of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Paid for by Black PAC and Unite the Country. www.blackpac.com and www.unitethecountry.com, which are responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Keeping you informed. As a community service, Word Radio and the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium wants to keep you informed about where you can get no-cost, barrier-free COVID-19 testing this week. Tuesday, September 29th, from noon till 5 p.m. at Sharon Baptist Church, 3955 Conshohocken Avenue. Thursday, October 1st, from 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. at New Covenant Church of Philadelphia, 7500 Germantown Avenue. And Saturday, October 3rd, from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. at Mount Airy Church of God in Christ, 6401 Ogons Avenue. Stay informed and stay well with Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Trump spends his time golfing, while COVID-19 hits the black community hard. It's not just wrong, it's immoral. We need Joe Biden. Joe takes COVID-19 seriously and understands the economic and health impact it's had on our community. Joe will listen to the medical experts, and he will protect Obamacare. Trump, he won't even wear a mask. Request a ballot now. Make a plan to vote. Our lives depend on it. Paid for by Ask Me People, which is responsible for the content of this ad. AskMePeople.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Word Radio presents the following information to help you navigate the upcoming election.
This is Charles Ellison, host of Reality Check on WURD. Are you a Philly voter trying to figure out the best way to get information on how to vote? Start at votespa.com for more information on such important activities as registration, applying for mail-in and absentee ballots, dates and deadlines, and locations open for voting. Also, more information, including phone numbers to the city election commissioners, is at philadelphiavotes.com. Keep following us on @onWURD on Twitter, facebook.com/4word, and hashtag Word on Politics for constant updates on election 2020. And remember, vote early.
Stay informed and vote. For more from Charles Ellison, tune in Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or visit wordradio.com. Home of the Happy Hour. With Sincerely Sarita. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Streaming live at wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
The views and opinions expressed by the guests, listeners, and hosts of any program on Word Radio do not necessarily reflect those of ownership, management, or advertisers of this station.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Chris Murray Report on WURD 900 AM, 96.1 FM. Ladies and gentlemen, as we do every weekend, you know, I have a lot to talk about in the world of sports. Eagles last week, oh my God, an awful.
I was right about the outcome.
Yeah, you were. I have to say. I have to give it to Jordan. You hit it on the head, yeah. And
I mean, not happy about the prediction, but that's
yeah,
as expected.
You know, I was at the Monday. I mean, I was in the Zoom cast, and I don't know why I did this. I asked Doug Peterson. I says, "Well, are you gonna put him in positions, run the ball a little bit, and put him in positions?" Mm-hmm. And then he sarcastically said, "Yeah, that's a good idea," like as if And just to be a knucklehead, and I understand. I understand sometimes, we act, but the thing is, we're only echoing what fans are saying about the team. Mm-hmm. And, watching the game, and I got a chuckle out of it in the end, but the thing is, because that's not the first time I've kind of gotten under a coach's skin and whatnot. Because I don't mean to do that because that's not my job. But you're trying to get the coach to talk about a few things.
Yeah.
But I thought it was funny that he did that because I remember one time I asked Andy Reid. I said, Andy, is your season coming apart or something? And he looked at me. He glared at me. He said, "Next question." And whatnot. And Phil Sheridan of the Philadelphia Inquirer wrote about it the next day and basically to chide Andy for not answering questions and not wanting to be held accountable for his team's performance. And I think that what fans are saying, fans want accountability, and I'm going to talk about accountability on another level. I'm going to say her name before it's said and done here today. But the Eagles, I watched that game, and it really Carson Wentz played a bad game. He was terrible. And some people, and I think Brian Baldinger on one of the NFL shows that he does on the NFL Network, basically said that it came down to mechanics and that somehow, or at least is how I'm interpreting what he said, that somehow Carson Wentz has regressed. Okay, all right, I can buy that because the question of the day I'm going to ask. The question I'm going to dig, and I'm trying to sucker my Cowboys fans into coming in on the show because I'm going to ask the question, and I'm also trying to get my Eagles fans who resent Cowboys fans, especially those here in Philadelphia. And I'm trying to ask the question. I'm trying to ask the question: who's better in the NFC East at this time, Carson Wentz or Dak Prescott? Okay, who's the better quarterback of those two? Who? I'm curious. I just want to know. I want to know. Okay? So that's one thing. The Philadelphia Phillies are about to choke away their chances of getting into the playoffs. Yeah. Once again, the bullpen. And I'm gonna have Jack McCaffrey talk about it because I get the feeling if they don't make the playoffs this year, it's bye-bye to Matt Klentak. It's bye-bye to the GM this year. Mm-hmm. It is bye-bye to the general manager at the end of the year because their bullpen stinks on toast. It stinks to high heaven, and I hope I'm not using the Lord's name in vain when I say that. They had a 4-1 lead that their bullpen blew, and now they're on the brink of elimination. They were lucky last night that Gabe Kapler's San Francisco Giants team lost the second game of a double. Thanks to my personal favorite player of the year, Fernando Tatis Jr. That's my man. I love that kid. That kid, like I say, that kid can't do no wrong in my eyes. People got mad at him because he hit a home run with the bases loaded and they had a big lead. But I don't get into baseball. Come on, stop it. Yeah. All these hidden rules, stop. But so that's one thing. So we got Phillies, Eagles struggling. NBA playoffs are getting exciting, but a lot of players we all reacted this week, and I'm keeping myself to sports today. I'm not going to get too political, although in a couple of weeks I probably will, or not a couple of weeks, but at some point I'm lying. I'm not going to, But the thing is, a lot of players reacted to the decision rendered in the Breonna Taylor case, for them not to pursue charges. And I looked at it. I'm beyond angry. I can't, I can sit up here on this show and rant and rave about the injustice of it. The NBA players were upset. LeBron James, to his credit, God bless LeBron James. LeBron James basically, tweeted, "This is the most disrespected person on earth is the black woman. I'll promise you I'll do my best to change this as much as I can and even more. Love to queens all over this country and beyond." I have the utmost respect for LeBron James to the point where I'm semi-rooting for the Los Angeles Lakers. And I'm kind of rooting for the Los Angeles Lakers in the playoffs. Not that I don't like the other teams and all that. I like Miami. I really like Denver. But I hope LeBron James just wins it just for that. But ladies and gentlemen, I can sit up here and be angry and ticked off, which is what I am. But it's one of those things where the kind of anger that a lot of us feel is something that we have to reserve for prayer. Not just to say, I don't know, we should still fight for justice, still demonstrate, still protest. I'm not saying that. But sometimes I think that, we have to pray that we can do what we can do and not be so, I don't know, sometimes anger clouds your judgment. And I think the one thing that we can do is to continue to agitate and to vote on Election Day. And never mind, you may not like, the candidate and whether or not he's perfect and all that, but we can't let the country, be run by fascists who basically want to come after me and you, especially, and I suspect if they ever took power, they'd be sending their little stormtrooper squad to this radio station to arrest me or Michael Cord or somebody, all of the other of us who basically, rail against the system of injustice in this country. Yeah, I'll talk about sports today. I will, but at the same time, what happened to Breonna Taylor was disgusting. Now you can't be a black man and defend your home because, I don't know, the cops are shooting at you for no reason. And somehow, the cop that is getting indicted only got indicted because he shot up a white family's home. And, to me, the hypocrisy, and the black attorney general in Kentucky, he's Mitch McConnell's boy. And, I like I say again, whatever faith you are, pray, the only thing is that I do believe in the power of the Almighty, whether you call him Allah, whether you call him Jesus or various, representations thereof. I think, and used to stand, and I can say I am an advocate of protest. I'll speak out, whether it's through this show or through my column in the Philadelphia Sunday Sun. I will speak out. I will always speak out. But there are times when you just want to just like, man, and the thing is, I wasn't surprised. You shouldn't be surprised. You really shouldn't be. But the only thing I could say to the people out here, keep advocating for justice. Keep fighting for justice. Say her name. Say Breonna Taylor's name. I'll dedicate this show to her today, and I'll and dedicate it to all those who are fighting for justice in this country. We will get out. We will have our day. I am the eternal optimist. I believe that God will ultimately, balance things out. I just pray that that we don't lose 10 million of us in the process. So. That's my statement for today. And like I say again, we'll be talking about things. Wow, we got a lot of people calling in. So we got Brother Joe from Germantown. I am gonna ask you my other question about Dak Prescott versus Carson Wentz. But I know you're a Cowboys fan, so Brother Joe, what you got to say, man?
Well, I hope you keep me on for a couple of minutes because I want to speak from my heart about the Breonna Taylor thing, too. I want to say that for last. But in the football thing, it's funny you mention that because that was my first question. In the other white sports station at the other end of the dial, white folks kill me. Now, I will say this, Chris, and to your beautiful young producer, Brother Jordan. One of the white boys, he called Carson Wentz a freaking, this is his words, not mine. He said Carson Wentz is a freaking bum. He told Ike Reeson that. Now, of course, I don't think Carson is no bum. I mean, that's
I don't think Carson Wentz is a bum.
But however, Chris, this what got me was that another white boy calls up and he says, see, when white people, when they talk about white quarterbacks and blacks, they choose their words very careful. I'm saying what the white boy said. He said, but I think what Carson's problem is, he would say that Carson can lead defenses, but he didn't say it like that because he said it like this. He said, I think Carson's problem, he's like throw interceptions. He has trouble processing information. Now, you know when it's Randall or Donovan or Michael Vick, they just can't read defense. So that's the white boy's nice way of saying it. Carson Wentz can't read defense. I had to chuckle when the white guy said it. That's his biggest problem. He's talented, but he has trouble processing information. I said, wow, that's one for the real. But as far as him and Dak Prescott, like I've been saying for a long time, Brother Chris Murray, Dak is going to have a longer career because you don't take the hits that Carson takes. And Dak a perfect quarterback? No, because he don't hold him to the ball as much as Carson does and everything. He don't take the hits, and he uses better judgment and stuff like that. And you're going to have a longer career because Dak know how to slide. You ever notice you don't see Dak taking a lot of hits head on. That's why Carson to continue to get hurt because he don't use his brain, so to speak. I mean, it's nice to take chances, but when you see a play that you see a receiver covered, live for another day, just throw the ball away. You know what I mean? Don't sit there and take a dumb sack or take a hit like when he got hit against the brother from Seattle last year. All he had to do was throw the ball away, and had that guy hit him at that point, it would have been a rough in the pass. But see, he holds on to the ball too long, and it leads to the Eagles' downfall. But I definitely think Dak is a better quarterback and stuff. Now, again, Carson's a good quarterback. I'm not going to say he's not, but I just think Dak is better. And I hope, what's the brother's name? Rodney Harrison said when Tony Dungy did that show on Sunday Night Football, he said he's after Dak brought him back against Atlanta when he led like those 3-4 fourth quarter drives to bring him back. He said, Jerry, pay Dak his money. I said, go ahead, Rodney.
Yeah, he does need to pay Dak Prescott his money. Absolutely.
Pay his money.
Pay that man.
Pay that man. And Chris, let me say this real quick about, because I know you got other callers. You know, Chris, thank you, Chris. What's in that back Attorney General there? You know, not only is he Mitch McConnell's boy, he's married to Mitch McConnell's niece. So
yeah.
His head is just like Clarence Thomas is married to one of George Bush's nieces. But see, let me say this, Chris, when I go. I am so upset, and I told it to your colleague Solomon Jones yesterday. We got to start ostracizing, and this is to be careful, Chris and Jordan, and the listener audience. Negroes like Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, they are a disgrace to black people. We have got to start letting them Negroes know you are unwelcome in the black community. For them two Negroes to get on there the other night and say that woman's pretty much got what she deserved, and they blame her boyfriend. Like Janice Armstrong, your colleague in the Daily News said, she said, why is it that black people can't defend themselves? You know, Kentucky is an open and carry state.
Thank you.
They had a stand your ground law.
Except for black people.
Right. If somebody busts in your house at 3 o'clock in the morning and you got a gun, what the hell are you going to do but grab your gun? I mean, come on, man. If there had been a white woman killed under the same circumstances, Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal would have opened up their damn mouth. See, we got to start holding these house Negroes accountable, Chris. I'm serious. I get sick of these Negroes, man. They make you sick.
I'm laughing because you know what? You're right. I mean, Charles, for Charles Barkley to say that, I agree with him on some things and disagree with others. And this one, I disagree. I mean, you can't, if I'm in your home, and the thing, one of the reasons why Denise doesn't want me to have a gun, because Denise knows I would probably use it. But then again, Denise would probably use it more than I would, to be honest about it. But the thing is that you have this law, open carry, stand your ground, but it never applies to African Americans. You know.
And Chris, let me say this, Chris. I want to overtalk you, Chris. But let me say, to show you how right. Sure, look at down in Florida. This white thug killed Trayvon Martin Zimmerman, right? But his sister down there, she had an abusive boyfriend. She fired a warning shot up in the air. The white judge gave her 20 years in jail. She didn't even shoot her boyfriend. She fired a warning shot and got 20 years. Well, not for the black community and Reverend Shop and people protesting. That sister still be in jail now. But it's okay for them to shoot an unarmed Trayvon Martin. After the police told him to leave the boy alone. I mean, Chris, how many examples do we need? It's injustice in this country, man. Black, like Johnny Sapp say, black rose, white justice. Black, and I don't care how many Negroes like Barkley or that Attorney General or Herschel Walker, who's another Uncle Tom. I don't care how many Negroes speak up for the white man and his white racism. We as intelligent black people know what the deal is. We're not stupid. They can get all these Toms and Thomastinas up there to speak for them all they want. But we as black people, Chris, righteous black people, we know what time it is. We're not stupid, man. I get so sick of these Negroes always want to side with this white racist, white supremacist system against their own people, man. I'm tired of Negroes. Like I said, Chris, in closing, we need to ostracize them Negroes and let them know they're not welcome in the black community. Don't support nothing there. Don't buy none of their sneakers. Don't support none of their programs they have on. Let white folks, if they so down with white racism, let white folks be the ones that support them. Simple as that, Chris. Thanks, bro.
You're welcome. Well, to quote an old song by Earth, Wind, and Fire, we are people of the mighty, mighty people of the sun. In our heart lies all the answers to the truth you can't run from. Just think about that. Think about that little. That song came into my head, years ago. But you're right. I mean, and oddly enough, they tried to charge her boyfriend, for firing at a police because they wounded a police officer. But I'm not. You know what? And they dropped the charges, and they should have. Because somebody's trying to break in. What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, you gotta protect your family, man.
You gotta protect your family.
Protect your family. Protect your home.
Come on. But we can't do that. I mean, we can't be human. I see sometimes. I see some things in sports, and a black kid, when Cam Newton first came into the league, he says, "I want to be an icon," and the media chided him for that because it was just we can't have youthful exuberance. We're never allowed to be human in this society. Even in this situation happened, oh my God, they're creating violence and all this stuff. But we can't be angry. I love Martin Luther King and all that, and I think a lot of people from SNCC back in the day tried to tell me, says, look, I'm not for violence, but people are outraged. We're naturally angry.
Yep.
And quiet as it's kept, we're also angry at what's going on in the hood with us killing each other. But we don't. But nobody talks about that. Nobody deals with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody ever deals with that, Jordan. I'm telling you, man. I mean, it's like, good Lord, man. I mean, I'm just, like I say again, couple of good things I saw this week. Jerron Ennis, who was a boxer out of Philadelphia, his father, who I've interviewed more than a few times at the Tribune, named Derek Bosie Ennis. His son knocked the guy out in the 5th round last week. I'm getting them on the show, and if not this week, but next week. I mean, he has this. I wonder if he still has the dungeon. I wonder if he's still trained at the dungeon and everything, because it's up in North Philly. It's somewhere near Jordan, not far from Germany. I think it's like the basement of this old church. And it looks like something out of Requiem for a Heavyweight with the Rod Serling. I don't know if you ever saw Jackie Gleason and Anthony Quinn. Anthony Quinn plays this old boxer who's at the end of his, and making a cameo appearance in that film was Muhammad Ali. But it's that old feel of boxing gyms, because boxers. One thing I always respect the tradition of boxers come up from really humble beginnings. When you're talking about Ali or Sonny Liston or any of those guys, they come up from, other wild circumstances. And so that was one good thing. I saw a local Philly kid, he's a contender, and I think I want to say the welterweight division, but the thing is that, I saw him fight on Showtime, and yeah, I'm impressed. So, speaking of fighting, we have Fishman from University City. Fishman, how are you?
Hey, brother. Good afternoon.
Yes. How are you?
Hey, man. Never complain. I'm on the road down there to do what I do. Catch a little fish and spend a little time with the family.
Okay. You catch any good fish?
We're going for stripers. We're going for striped bass today.
What we call rockfish in Maryland, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you're only allowed to keep 2.
Right.
You have to be 27 inches to 35.
Wow.
So, we're going to do what we got to do.
Okay.
Tonight, the Charbrough brothers are fighting.
Yes, both of them are fighting, and they're fighting on pay-per-view. And one of them is fighting a Russian fighter. And let me pull that up. The trial. They both look good, and I expect to win. I expect a win from both of those guys tonight. Yes, he's fighting.
I agree.
Sergey Derevchenko, and so that's Jamal Charlo. He's fighting tonight, and both of those guys it's a doubleheader. They're both fighting a doubleheader tonight, and I think that is on I want to say Showtime pay-per-view, and he's like I say, he's one of the best junior middleweights in the world, and we will see what happens. And this Russian fighter is supposedly a pretty tough cookie. We will see how that kind of shakes itself out. I'm trying to think. Well, I think Jermell Charlo, one of those guys, lost to a guy and then came back to knock him out, and so I expect those guys to win. And I think the other Charlo's fighting a young man by the let me see. Let me look on my the list. So both Jermell and, like I say, Jermell is fighting Jason Rosario tonight. So we're gonna see what happens once they get in the ring tonight. And so I'm gonna have Joe San Loquillo at the bottom of the hour talking about that.
I'd like to bring it back to Philly. I'm gonna start with football, baseball, then basketball.
Okay.
If the Eagles start out 0-3, how you feel?
If they start out 0-3, this season might be over. Although
I agree. Yep.
Although I will say, though, remember that none of these teams have had preseason, so who knows? They may get it together at some point.
True.
And this is the NFC East.
Yeah.
And like I say, the Cowboys will figure out a way to lose tomorrow to Seattle. So you never know. I mean, so but it's not good to be 0-3. Let's just say it like that. It is not good to be 0-3.
Philadelphia Phillies don't make the playoffs. Who do you want to see gone?
Clintack, gone. Mm-hmm. Gone. He should be gone because that bullpen is atrocious. I watched a couple of games this week when they played Washington in the extra inning games. There's no way they should have lost that game, but they could. I mean, because the hitters were doing. I'll say this: the Phillies got one of the better offensive lineups in baseball, but. And I'm gonna have Jack talking about that. But when it's like Joe Girardi is like taking spaghetti and just throwing it on the wall. See on which night will this guy stick? Who's gonna stick this night? It's like he's playing Russian roulette with like 5 out of 6 bullets already in the chamber. I mean, every night he's dealing with this, and it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. We've got finally, Philadelphia 76ers next head coach. Who would you like to see, and who do you think they're going to get? Thank you. I'm hanging up, and I'm going to listen. Okay. I like to see them get somebody. I mean, Tyronn Lue wouldn't be bad. Mark Jackson wouldn't be bad. I mean, at this point, Dawn Staley wouldn't be bad. Dawn Staley would probably whip some toughness into these guys.
Yep.
So I got to go to break. I got other callers, and I got to go to break. So you listen to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WRD, Black Talk Media. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Councilmember Mark Squilla. We need every Philadelphian to be counted in the 2020 census to get the funding we need to recover from the challenges of COVID-19. The census brings funding to Philly for education, healthcare, food support, public safety, and more. For every person who isn't counted, Philly loses $21,000 in funds over the next decade. We can't let that happen. You have until September 30th to get counted. Go to 2020census.gov or call 1-844-330-2020. Don't delay, Philly. Get counted now. Thank you.
This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD.
He knew. Donald Trump knew how deadly COVID was months ago, and he lied about it. Just listen.
Now it's turning out it's not just old people, Bob. Just today and yesterday, some startling facts came out. It's not just older young people to plenty of young people.
Donald Trump knew as early as February just how deadly COVID was, before anyone even died, and he did nothing about it. His indifference cost tens of thousands of black lives.
It goes through air, Bob. You just breathe the air. That's how it's passed. It's also more deadly than even your strenuous flus.
Nearly 200,000 dead. 1 in 5 are black. This virus is literally killing us. and Trump did nothing to stop it.
Well, I think, Bob, really, to be honest with you, I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down because I don't want to create a panic.
Too late, Mr. President.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
We've all adjusted our daily routines in these unprecedented times. And for many of us, voting at our polling place in November is a routine that means so much. But did you know that every Pennsylvania voter can vote by mail from home this year? Whether you're a Pennsylvania senior, essential worker, or simply someone who needs more flexibility to vote within a challenging schedule, voting by mail allows you to make your voice heard at the ballot box on your schedule while protecting your family's health. You can turn your mailbox into a ballot box by simply visiting votespa.com on your computer or any mobile device to request your mail-in ballot. With November 3rd around the corner, it's more important than ever to request your mail-in ballot today. It's simple, secure, convenient, and safe. This year, you shouldn't have to choose between your vote and your health. We're all in this together, and voting by mail gives you the power to make your voice heard. So sign up at votespa.com or return your mail-in ballot application to your county election office today. Paid for by Power Interfaith.
You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, we're back. Now, I got a couple of callers waiting. Now, my man Joe Sanliquido is going to be online. He's going to be talking about Carson Wentz and some other, and we're going to try to, of course, we're always going to work in boxing because that's what we do. But the thing is, I want to get to my callers. I want to get to Spread Love and Jacob from Albany. I think also Maurice from Southwest is there too. But let me get, and I got to get to everybody kind of quick, but you know. So what's going on? What's going on? Spread Love. Spread Love.
That's what we work to do. Give God the glory. God bless, Brother Chris Murray. How you making out, family?
Man, I'm doing okay, man. I'm doing okay. I'm just trying to, I don't know, process everything in the world around me, sports and stuff like that. Great game by the Celtics last night against Miami, but I'm just saying, I'm just trying to maintain, man. What's on your mind today, man?
We ain't got enough time for that.
All right, well, okay, can you give me a snippet of your mind in about a minute or less?
I'm going to try to keep it to glimpses and bullet points.
All right.
But as always, give thanks for your show, the WRD family. Brother Jordan on the board's always doing an amazing job.
No doubt.
And our hearts, thoughts, and prayers always go out to all the victims.
Absolutely.
And, we're always with them. And everyone working to make it better.
Right.
And Brother Chris Murray, in the scripture, it endorses us sometimes don't try to wrap our heads around everything. It's not to say not to think or consider what we're going through and how to make it better for those going through worse. But you got to refresh sometimes. That's the only way to get a clear perspective on really how to do it correctly, I would advise.
Right. No, I hear you on that. I mean, I'm looking at the world around me and, I think back to when 40 years ago, I was a teenager. This is the 40th anniversary of my senior year in high school.
God bless.
And I was a Ted Kennedy supporter. And I was, and I kept telling people, even though Kennedy, my man, lost, I said, well, we'll stick with Jimmy Carter because I don't want to see Reagan, because Reagan is going to unleash a kind of, a throwback to a kind of racism that we're experiencing today. And, and I feel bad that I was basically right about that, because this is what has happened. All the things you see around you, what's going on in the hood, everything is going on now. And I trace it back to Reagan, Nixon, and all those other people. But I don't want to get into that. So, but you do have to process things in a certain way, which is why, today, my thing is hope everybody's reflecting, get involved, do what you have to do to get involved. Don't commit violence. Don't have hatred in your heart. Pray, like I say again, I would read the 37th Psalm, but I'm not trying to get religious today, so forgive me. But that just came to my mind. But that's how I look at things, man. We've got to soldier on, so to speak, too.
God bless, Brother Chris. I would not to disagree with you, but I would trace it back not only to just them kidnapping us and putting us on boats, but also to the biblical prophecy in Scripture that,
These things were slated to happen, not only based on our behavior, but on the behaviors of others. And you can check that out, Leviticus, specifically Deuteronomy 28, where it talks about we don't get right with our Jah Almighty. We're going to get sold off to people that ain't got no heart. But that's all throughout the Bible. We can go into that later.
Yeah.
Right now, I wanted to say first, give thanks. I'm glad to hear from Elder Joe from Germantown, because ever since our beloved brother, Rapid Professor Dr. Aaron Smith, been off the air, I don't listen to WRD as much as I used to, and I miss hearing from people. You know what I mean? As far as our reaction to the situations, some I mentioned on the other show, one of my loved ones brought up to me that I ain't considered before, that we live in a system that always promotes us to be nonviolent, while all the quote-unquote heroes they promote are horribly violent. We can go into that later. But also, I don't expect much from celebrities these days. It's a different world. Now, on the sports, Philadelphia suffers from what I call the Jeff Rulin syndrome. I'm sure you can expound on that better than I can.
Yeah, I can.
As far as the teams, we suffer from having players. We don't have teams. You know, we have a bunch of characters and individuals versus having an organized, what do they call that, unified entity that has character, that has an identity. And also with the Eagles, we got to look at the offensive line. That's a big factor on how well a quarterback can perform. The Phillies bullpen been sorry for at least the past 2 seasons. So I don't know what they ain't figure out. And I go with the Miami Heat because they got 2 former Sixers. My man Jimmy Buckets and my man Andre Iguodala. You know I'm rooting for them. And I know they call it the NFC East, but the way it's been for the past few years, you remember the NFC least. I'll talk to y'all later. More love.
More love. Okay, thank you. Spread love. All right. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I was going to let Jacob from Only come, but I got to bring in Joe. Joe's a very busy man and all this other stuff. So, Joe, can you tell us what's Carson Wentz's problem? You've been close to that situation. What's going on with Carson, man? Come on. You're his guy. You're his guy in quotes.
It is the it relates certainly back to the story that went national 2 years ago that I wrote.
Yeah.
In reference to the situation that's been happening here. Did I want it to happen? No. Did I bang the drum loudly that it was going to happen? I suppose I did with the story, but it's one of those things where you do it, and Chris, you've done these stories. You're doing it, and you're reporting on it, and you're following up, and you're researching on it, and as you're doing it, you don't want to believe it.
Right.
You try to fight against it, but as you hear from more and more people, and remember, I told you I went on your air as to how that story came about. But some of the guys complaining after that Dallas loss on that Sunday night during the 2018 season,
right
after the Super Bowl year, and I'm walking out with a bunch of guys, a bunch of players on the team, and I made the innocuous comment. I mean, Jesus, Mike Groh's really screwing this up, and they all turned to me like a Marine drill outfit, and they said, "No, Joe, it's not Groh, it's Wentz." And then they went into some detail then, and it shocked me then to hear it. And as you know, we'll say the rest of this issue. I don't want to expound on that as much as if you remember that story again. In that story, January 2019, it's going to be 2 years, which is kind of frightening.
Right.
One of the guys told me Carson can complicate 2 and 2. He holds on to the ball too long. He doesn't check down.
Right.
He looks at Ertz too much. Well, now obviously he's spreading the ball around a little bit. Carson Wentz obviously, I know for a fact, read that story because a number of the issues that were in that story, much credit to Carson Wentz, he addressed them, and to a certain point, he corrected them, and kudos to him for that. It doesn't still erase the fact that he is committing the same kind of mistakes that he did 2 years ago, that he did since John DeFilippo and Frank Reich have left.
Right.
Mike Rose certainly couldn't get into his ear, and we know there was pushback with that. He's dealing with Press Taylor, who is the quarterbacks coach / offensive passing coach or whatever his definition is. People are claiming, there's too many cooks in the kitchen. Well, yeah, you could say that, but there's only a few people that Wentz will actually listen to. And I don't even know if we'll listen to them.
Right.
Because, again, what keeps on coming back and what is there and what is there to see is the same issues that have been ongoing with this. And I'm starting to hear rumblings from different people. I say to people, I did my tour of duty. I don't know if I'm going to be pounding on the Wentz drum anytime soon.
Right.
But I do still hear from people.
Mm-hmm.
And people still talk to me. Suddenly I'm, Wentz Central, so to speak. And they get back to me about how, again, he just pushes back against some things, that he's still very reluctant to take hard coaching, still reluctant to take criticism. And the scary thing is, and this is the bottom line, in a very roundabout way, he may not be the answer. I mean, we thought he was the answer in 2017. Mm-hmm. He was certainly worthy of an MVP. I even, regardless of, the BS and backlash I got from the critical story that I wrote about Wentz.
Right.
I was out to get him, this, that, and the other thing. Well, really, was I out to get him? Or was I telling the truth? And I think, Chris, we kind of know the answer by now, don't you think?
Yeah, I think we do. Well, one of the things that Brian Baldinger, who does this show, I think it was on the NFL Network or some form of NFL.com or something, was basically saying that Wentz doesn't have his mechanics aren't right. And
I touched on that. I wrote about that his base wasn't correct.
Right.
He wasn't seeing the field as well. That he again regressed. And again, this is a story that was written January 21st, 2019, Monday. Mm-hmm. Actually, I'll tell you what, Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah, matter of fact, you and I talked about that. Offline at the time, and so. From that standpoint, so some of those issues still, because some of those issues are still, because watching the Rams game on Sunday, I was in the stadium, and he was trying to hit J.J. Arcega-Whiteside it was just like I was sitting next to Don Hunt. We were like, where is he trying? He threw that ball in the straight up. You can see double coverage from sitting in the press box and whatnot, and I'm just saying to myself now, granted the field level is different, but I'm saying to myself, man, this guy is just struggling. And the thing is, you wonder what can the team do to make things safer for him. And they tried to run the football, although they always get away from that, thinking that Wentz is going to do something. But that interception that he threw on the Eagles' first possession of the second half, that was a kill. That was the game. That was a killer. And so, can he get it back? Let me ask you this: Is Carson Wentz's issues? Are they more mental? Are they physical? Or are they a combination of both? What do you think? What are his issues?
What I know and what people told me recently, and what people told me in the past, it's a combination of both. He has to change his attitude. Has to accept coaching. Shown that he has been able to do that. Certainly got hard coaching with Reich and Filippo. Saw the results there with that. And again, I don't know how hard Groh was on him, but I have the impression I don't think Groh challenged him the way John DeFilippo and Frank Reich challenged him, but Groh did challenge him.
Right.
And we saw what happened there. Jeff McClain did a great job with that preseason story in terms of the power brokers that be within the Eagles organization. There's just one thing I contest that Jeff wrote is that I believe Wentz has. The only revelation that I took of McClain's story, and McClain did a great job, it's great reporting, but the big revelation I took from it is that Lurie has far more input than I was led to believe, that I think we all were led to believe. But the only other thing that I push back on with McClain's story is that Wentz has a hell of a lot of say. And this is from people, serious people within football, and serious people that were within that organization at one time or another told me, and the way it was worded to me was that Wentz has a direct line to the bat phone. In other words, he could bypass Peterson, he could bypass Roseman, and call Lurie directly. And the thing that I found interesting about the Jeff McLean story was that it was Lurie that turned around and says, we have to do something about the offense. So this was something that came down from the penthouse, so to speak. And if you remember that whole big mess, that whole debacle on how the receivers coach now, I've lost. I don't even remember who that was, but I do know Grow. And remember when Doug Peterson was asked specifically, will those guys be back? And Doug says yes. And then the next day, the Eagles fire both of those guys, and Peterson has to come around, I misspoke, whatever. No, and then we found out the reason why is that the decision did come down from Lurie, that Lurie wants a more vivacious offense, an offense that turns around. And here's the same offense that kind of gets me. This is an offense that's been catered to Carson Wentz. This is Carson Wentz's offense. This is stuff that he's calling at the line of scrimmage. He's mixing it in with fake cadence. These are his things. These are his decisions. These are his plays. And regrettably, what's going to happen, it's not going to happen this year. It could happen at the end of next year, is this. You have the Trinity. The Holy Trinity of Roseman, Peterson, and Wentz. And you and I both know, out of that group, if they, say, for example, they finish 5-11 and 6-10, which, by the way, there's a good chance they're going to finish 5-11 and 6-10.
Right.
They're going to win tomorrow. Von Sanders is going to run the hell out of the ball. They're going to keep the ball out of Wentz's hands. They're going to run the hell out of the ball because the Bengals are giving up 185 yards on the ground this year. So there's going to be a lot of pounding.
Right.
But then after that, you have San Francisco, you have Pittsburgh, and Baltimore. There are 3 losses. They're going to be 1-5. I don't think there's any doubt they're going to be 1-5.
Okay. Hey, Joey,
who do you think is the fall guy after this whole house of cards collapses? Who do you think is going to get the blame? He shouldn't, but he's going to get the blame.
Peterson.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Joe, I got to go to break. I'm going to bring you back because there's a couple of other questions I want to ask you. You're listening to 96.1 FM 900 URD Black Talk Media. The Chris Murray Report will be right back.
Hey, Mama, you calling me for a change? You and Daddy all right?
We're fine. Can't your mama call and check on her babies and get a little advice?
You know you can. What do you need help with?
Well, despite COVID-19, you know I'm not letting anything stop your father and I from voting this year. But we're here in Pennsylvania. Should we go to our precinct as usual? What's the best way?
You mean I get to be Mama for a minute? All you have to do is go to aarp.org/election 2020.
That's my favorite site, and they have a lot of information about the pandemic.
You only text me the website 3 times, but they have all the reliable, up-to-date voting information for voters 50 plus in every state. Want me to text it to you?
Girl, I know. It's aarp.org/election 2020.
Well, me being your mama didn't last long.
That's 'cause I'll always be your mama.
Yes, ma'am.
If you're eligible for Medicare in 2021, you could have a chance to win one of 4 great prizes, like dinner prepared by a local chef and home fitness equipment. When you enter to win, you'll also receive a free COVID-19 News You Need booklet. Visit www.ibxmedicare.com/healthy advice to enter. Independence Blue Cross offers products through its subsidiaries Independence Hospital Indemnity Plan, Keystone Health Plan East, and QCC Insurance Company, independent licensees of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association.
Livelihood, the new initiative from WORD Radio, connecting Philadelphians to jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. This is WORD Radio, independent black media.
Hey guys, Tony Staten here, host of the Labor's Live radio show. And I have a question for all of the Labor's District Council union members and WORD listeners. Is your election checklist completed? Well, let's see. Is everyone of age in your household registered to vote? Is your mail-in ballot application completed? Have you confirmed your polling place for in-person voting? And do you know the names of the candidates running for office in your area? Well, if you've answered no to any of these questions, go to votespa.com for more information. And remember, exercise your right to vote. Your livelihood depends on it. Don't forget to tune into Labor's Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. on onWURD, WURD.
You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, we're back. We have Joe Sanlaquito from PhillyVoices.com. Joe, I gotta ask. A lot of Wentz has one of the lowest accuracy rates in the league right now. I think he's 29th, and I'm wondering though, is it physical, psychological? What about the fact that Jalen Hurts, that the team drafted with the second round pick, Jalen Hurts? I'm wondering if having him kind of standing over his head like that, I'm wondering how much is that impacting upon what he's doing, trying to force it. Dan Orlovsky from ESPN said that he's trying to force the football, and that's what he's trying to do right now. I'm wondering if forcing the football and trying to create things is still that sort of thing that came from watching what's his name? Nick Foles. Lord, man, I'm having watching Nick Foles, and now you have Jalen Hurts kind of waiting in the wings, so to speak. I wonder how is all that affecting his psyche there.
Well, I think to a degree, but I in my opinion, I think to a small degree. We both know and we've seen it. For example, again, the 2018 season and the loss to the Minnesota Vikings. Classic. This is classic Carson Wentz. Okay, they're pressing, they're driving. And if you remember that sequence, it's late in the game, and the Eagles have a chance, but they have their 2 scores down. And remember this specifically, because I think you were only sitting like 6 feet to my left, 6 feet to my right.
Right.
And they're in the red zone, and Wentz looks towards the end zone, and obviously he's looking at 86. He's looking at Zach Ertz in the end zone. But Ertz is triple covered, if you remember. And you also remember who swung out of the backfield and was sitting all by himself at the 5-yard line.
I'm trying to think. Was that
Wendell Smallwood?
Wendell Smallwood. That's right.
Wide open, and everybody in the press box is like, "What? What? What?" But what did Wentz do? He forced the ball.
He forced the ball inside to Zach Ertz,
and it got intercepted. And I believe a penalty, a Minnesota penalty, wiped the interception away. But that was classic Carson Wentz, and again, that was 2018. This is 2020. He's still doing the same things. Now, granted, I give him credit. I give him points for this. He's looking around the field. He's looking all over the place. He's trying to target other receivers, but he still has a lack of checking down. We saw that, for example, in the season opener against Washington, where the first pick was to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. That's his name, correct?
Yep, Arcega-Whiteside, yep.
And he's looking at him, yet you have 1, 2, 3 guys underneath that he could have went to. But no, he looked up the field, tried to jam the square peg to a round hole, and regrettably it was intercepted. You have a situation now where I didn't see the complete field, but you have a situation now with the interception in the end zone where what did he do? He threw it in triple coverage. And what happens again when you try to fit the square peg to a round hole in the NFL? You get your tail picked off. And that's exactly what's been happening. It's 4 interceptions in 2 games. He threw a total of 7. I believe he's only thrown he was 27. And this is, by the way, Mike Rowe, who wasn't doing a good job last year. Mike Rowe in this offense and how it struggled. Carson Wentz last season became the first quarterback in Eagles history to throw for over 4,000 yards. Okay?
Right.
That, to me, is not – I mean, the eye test said sometimes he struggled, then he did. Carson Wentz also threw 27 touchdowns against only 7 interceptions last year.
Right.
You know, and now, granted, again, a lot of those numbers were built at the end of the season against 3 floundering teams and a Dallas team that was a little bit of free fall and that had certainly had a deficiency in the coaching area. But he still finished with some very, very, very good numbers. And I still think Carson Wentz could be a very, very good quarterback. Do I think he could be a great quarterback? I think he can. But I think, again, he needs hard coaching. He needs to accept hard coaching. And neither of those things are going to happen unless he allows it. And right now, he's king of the kingdom. He's king of his roost. And I don't know if there's anybody in there that can challenge him. I mean, you have a Doug Peterson here. He's supposed to be the head coach.
Right.
Yet he's getting his knees cut out from under him when he wanted Glow to stay. And he gets it knocked out when you find out that it was Lurie that wanted Glow gone.
Right.
So I mean, how much can I really do if I'm a head coach? If I'm a boss, if I'm the guy on the company floor and I'm telling one of my employees what to do, what exactly am I able to do? You know, if the guy up top looking down on me is making the decisions that I should be making.
Wow. Well, that's, if we look at it from that perspective, it makes for an interesting situation. So how big, and this is since we're up on time again, but my question to you, how big will tomorrow's game be in terms for Carson? What does Carson have to do to come in there? Granted, they're playing a Bengals team that's not very good on defense, and they can run the ball a little bit, but they're really not that good of a football team. What does Wentz have to do to kind of get us out of this whole bag of trying to analyze what's wrong? Does he have to come up big tomorrow and whatnot?
I don't think he's going to be even asked to come up big. I don't think it's going to be within the game plan for him to come up big. I'll put it this way. The only way the Eagles screw this up is if Carson Wentz screws it up. And I'll put it right on his head. As I've said about Wentz, this is his offense. If he threw for 5 touchdowns and 585 yards against the Rams, kudos to him. The laws go to him. He's the one that deserves it. If they blow this tomorrow, it's going to be on him. And the reason why I say that is this. Doug Peterson, that coaching staff, they're not dopes.
Right.
Smart guys. They're NFL guys. They are pedigree guys. They are freaking Super Bowl champions. They're Super Bowl champions. The Super Bowl champion coaching staff, even though it's changed a little bit. But that's still a Super Bowl winning head coach in Doug Peterson.
Right.
A guy that suddenly, I don't think in 3 years, suddenly has lost his touch. I don't think that's true at all.
No.
What I do think is true is that Wentz is calling quite a bit of the offense up on the line of scrimmage, and he's calling his plays. And I say he's going, if the Eagles lose, it's going to be on Wentz, simply for the fact that it's a very simple game plan, Chris, that you and I can devise.
Right.
Run the ball. 7 out of every 10 plays. Pound. Because it's a Cincinnati team that tends to blitz. They are 4th in the league in terms of their blitz rate. So they tend to turn around and try to attack the quarterback. That's their way of playing defense.
Right.
But they cannot stop the run. And Miles Sanders should get around 25, 30 touches tomorrow. Take the ball. You put the ball in Miles Sanders' hands. You take it out of Wentz's hands. Let Miles Sanders win this game for you, and Miles Sanders will win the game. And if logic dictates that, and logic does dictate that, very simple game plan, the Eagles should win, and the Eagles will win.
Okay.
The only guy that could screw this brew is 11.
Okay. Now I don't know if you heard the Monday press conference. I asked the question, and of course I said, because I asked Doug. I said, well, get a guy to get a chance. Let Miles Sanders do his thing, run the ball, put Carson, and I guess he was trying to mock me because I think everybody was getting on him about what to do with Carson. Yeah, that's a great idea. But then he gets into this bag of, well, we ran the ball really well. Your running back getting under 100 yards at 95 yards is really not running the ball really well. But he made this point, and the only thing that happened was that interception, and I was just like, okay. And the thing is, I get the feeling that Doug is tired. I get the feeling that Doug is kind of like tired of, wondering what's wrong with his quarterback. So I just thought I'd say that, but it's just that you're right. You're absolutely right about running the football. You're right about that. You can't pass. The Eagles are a predictable team, basically. You saw that in not only in the Rams game, you saw that in the Washington game. They're predictable. They've been predictable, and I think what it is, Carson Wentz is still trying to make himself the hero, so to speak. So
yeah, and that's just hey, big fight tonight.
Yeah.
Doubleheader.
Doubleheader of the Charlos. I wish I had more time to talk about it with you, but I got to go to break. But thank you.
We cover that next week. You know, the door's always open, Chris. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, I got to talk to you anyway offline. But, yeah, you're right. We got to talk about that because I'm going to definitely talk some boxing. We got some good local stars here, too, and I want to try to concentrate on those guys. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WRD, Black Talk Media, the Chris Murray Report. We'll be right back.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations. Because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
Keystone First VIP Choice HMO SNP Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan has a 4 out of 5 star rating and is one of the highest rated Medicare plans in the region. Keystone First VIP Choice and you are better together. If you live in Philadelphia, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, or Delaware County, and you have both Medicare and Medicaid, choose the Medicare plan that is working to help you get better care. Enjoy extra benefits at no cost to you with Keystone First VIP Choice. You get benefits like dental, vision, and transportation to and from your medical appointments. They also cover a fitness membership to a gym of your choice, $150 toward over-the-counter pharmacy items. There's no copay for doctor's visits. They offer a large provider network, a great prescription plan, dental coverage, and even eyeglasses. Plus, you don't have to wait for open enrollment. You can change your coverage every quarter. Keystone First VIP Choice. The name you trust, the service you deserve. Call Keystone First VIP Choice today at 1-877-686-1760 or visit KeystoneFirstVIPChoice.com.
Tune in Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. to hear Empire Capital and Consulting founder Mark Palmer's show titled Black Money, Black Power. This show centers around black money and how black power is derived from money. Tune in every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Black Money, Black Power. Hosted by Mark Palmer.
The last thing you want to do is get the flu. Do yourselves a favor. Don't wait. Get your flu shot. Today, Saturday, September 26th, you can do just that. Get a flu shot at dedicated Senior Medical Center from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. This Saturday, September 26th, Olney and North Philadelphia locations. At dedicated Senior Medical Center, Flu Shot Clinic at 5626 North Front Street and North Philadelphia location at 2101 West Lehigh. Again, that's 5626 North Front Street and North Philadelphia location at 2101 West Lehigh. This is a free event from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. Today, Saturday, September 26th. This ad is brought to you by Dedicated Senior Medical Center.
This is Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Black Talk Media.
You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Okay, we're back. Let me get to my callers, and I apologize, as things are going today. If Jacob from Olney is still on with us, Jacob, thank you for patiently waiting.
Hey, peace be unto you. Look, you ain't got to apologize, man, because you give us the best of sports, and you give us the best of the real world, right?
Thank you.
And you don't even have to apologize for invoking the name of the Creator. And I heard names, right?
Right.
I call him Allah. But in the book of the Muslims, he said, I'm known by the best names. So, and that lets us know that I heard a brother say Jah, Jah Rule. I've heard that. I've heard other things. So we shouldn't even get tied up in that because God himself said he got more than one name. Hell, you Chris Murray, right?
Yeah.
And you got a name your boo probably called you. So, we got more than one name. So why wouldn't this great creator that we speak about and what the men that he sent told us about, why wouldn't he have more than one name? So, but anyway, vote. I'm saying this here. Your guest just was speaking about logic, right? Vote. We got to register to vote, man, because we got a man in office who said he loved America, but he called Colin Kaepernick a SOB for exercising his constitutional right to peacefully protest, right?
Right.
And then he goes lied to the people about COVID-19, global warming. I could go on and on. Then he stands before Putin, an arch enemy, and denounces everything about American intelligence and everything, and believes this bum. Now, if we tend to ever enjoy a good football game, basketball game, I'm into music, concerts. I love concerts too.
Right.
We got to get this bum out of there, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I don't care who you are, what color you are. If you say you love this democracy that surely my people helped build everything in this country. There ain't nothing we ain't touched and made it better. So, that's that. But anyway, Breonna Taylor, man, we got to keep saying her name.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard people say that she's the 2020 Emmett Till, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, here in her bed, I've heard white people, they mad at this. They saying, wait a minute, enough is enough, okay? These people don't deserve that. They're standing up, and that's a great thing today. I don't care what nobody say.
Right.
We don't need no white people. But we need every human being we can get.
We need human beings.
There
Absolutely.
you go, brother. And that's God created every one of us, right? I don't care what you say you are. You transgender, gay, lesbian, whoever, God created you.
Right.
And he's the same God that created me. And anybody want to debate that, I'm ready. But look, they killed this woman in her home, in her sleep, in her bed, and then sent her brother out. That was the coup d'etat to tell us that ain't nobody liable. I mean, this white squad of men can kill my sister like that didn't do nothing, that was a good community person, right? Helping in her job.
COVID-19 patients. I don't know if you saw Breonna Keeler from CNN. Boy, she went after, young white woman from CNN went after Trump, and Fox News and all those people behind that. And she pointed out the fact that Breonna Taylor was helping COVID-19 victims, and the thing is, the whole castle doctrine. Somebody's shooting into my home, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
I'm going to bust a cap.
Right.
If somebody come in my house and they could announce police, I still might bust that cap. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Because some people, you never know people breaking in your home.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine years ago, told me, and I'm not going to say who he is, but he told me that someone was breaking into his grandmother's home, and he shot the person, and he got arrested because he's protecting his parents' home. And that's the thing that bothers me, is that we're not allowed to protect our homes. We are not allowed to protect, our families and all that. I mean, it's like I was reading a book by a guy, Jabril Kabran Muhammad, who wrote a book about about how black people were intellectually seen as criminals in the academic world, and he was talking about Philadelphia. That back in the day, if you had a crime committed against you by a white person, and you called the cops, say back in the 1900s, 1920s, they would put you in jail and whatnot. They would arrest you.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, and I understand. I got to move to the next call. I appreciate your call, Jacob, but the thing is that this thing has got to stop. I can't think of any way about it. Let me thank you for the call, and let me get to Maurice from Southwest Philadelphia.
Hey, listen, man, I had to run to the ATM while your guest was on to put some money in Germantown Joe's collection plate because he was preaching this morning.
Yeah.
Well, let me say something. Let me say this first.
Go ahead, man.
Chris Murray. Okay, now go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you giving away money. Yeah, I could use a few bucks. No, I'm just kidding.
but what I'm saying is, now we know Shaq worked. I don't know if he's part owner or not in that racist pizza man shop. When Shaq became spokesman for him, I was like, hey, man, that don't even sound right.
Papa
We're trying to
John's.
get the black people for Papa John dude.
Right.
That was very racist. And Charles Barkley, he is a wild card. You don't know if he's with you or not. So, but we all know this is how I judge things.
Right.
Would they do this to a white man? That's how I judge everything.
Right.
Because I've been around the state. all around the state when I travel through Kentucky. You understand what I'm saying?
Pennsylvania, yes, I know.
Yeah, I've been all up in the mountains.
Or Pennsylvania.
Right, I've been all up in the mountains in the township. But one thing I noticed that those people do respect. If you black and you represent yourself as black, they leave you alone. But when you start to bend and think you're doing them a favor, they say that's just how they are. They turn on their own people, and that's what they judge you by. So what I wanted to say was, I was listening to Dr. Height right before your show,
right,
and he wanted to represent the school students by bringing somebody on from Central and what's the other stuff? Is it Massbon? Not Massbon. What's it called? The other high tech school for real smart kids. Masterman.
Okay.
Right? That's just like me saying I'm representing the National Football League by bringing KC and the Patriots on. What about the other teams? And I say, what about the other students? If you keep bringing them on all the time, representing how the school board is, then you're lying to the people. You need to bring somebody on from Bartram, from Overbrook, and really find out what's going on with students. Don't bring on your best and say this represents Pennsylvania schools, because it doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, wait. Let me get this last part in.
Okay.
Now, when we talking about you talking about Wentz, right?
Right. Okay.
I'm gonna tell you. You know what Wentz's problem is?
What's Wentz's
like
problem?
You've been the star of a mini series and you get hurt, and on a closing episode they write a great script, lots of action, and the person that took your place for that spot get all the accolades. And that's what his problem is. He'll never get over that Super Bowl where he worked all the way up, and then they brought the stunt man in, and he get all the accolades. And that's what's bothering him right now, because he put in a lot of good work that year, but when they got to the final games, he got hurt, and Whatcom got in there and got all the accolades. You know, when they say Eagles football, when they won the Super Bowl, his name is it got an exclamation point to it, because the guy that
Nick Foles. Nick Foles.
He gets all the accolades for it, not him. The Philly play they did, all that's in the highlight films, not him.
Wow.
So that's what he's going to do. Plus, they gave him all that money, which he didn't deserve, and now he got to live up to that. So he's on edge all the way. So I think he's going to be like when the Dallas Cowboys for years couldn't make the playoffs, and they had the Danny Whites and all them guys that came in and never did anything, but they kept saying, "Ooh, the Cowboys! Ooh, the Cowboys!" This is the problem that he's going through. Until he be able to win a Super Bowl or something like that, this monkey's going to be on his back the rest of his career.
He's going to be like, okay. On that note, Maurice, thank you for the call. You're probably right, though. I mean, I'm listening. I'm just listening to what you're saying, and you make a lot of sense here. You really do. Maurice, as always, thank you for the call. I have my guest on with me. We have Jack McCaffrey from the Delaware County Daily Times, one of the best columnists in the country when it comes to just about anything. Jack, I want to talk about the Phillies. The bullpen bites them again. Last night they're up 4-1, and then all of a sudden, the bullpen kicks in. They give up runs, and there's still a pulse. Can they pull it off?
Yeah, they could pull it off, but I'll tell you, you're right. It's the worst bullpen I've ever seen, ever. It's not only ineffective, but it's demoralizing. They get into those late innings, and they just know they're going to lose at this point. The pitchers, they don't attack the zone. Brandon Workman's as bad a pitcher as I've ever seen the Phillies have. Just completely inept at that level. Can't throw the ball in the strike zone. And they signed Tommy Hunter twice. Let me help you out. That's not going to work, okay?
Okay.
Once you try it with this guy, he can't get it done. I've had it to here with Adam Morgan. Phelps is not what they thought he was. The best thing that Girardi could come up with was he's a competitor. Everybody's a competitor at that level.
Yeah.
So you almost have to try to come up with two, not one, but two bullpens like they did this year. Two. One was worse than the next. They rebuilt it and made it worse, or almost impossible.
And
but you can get in. You probably get in with a 30-30 record. So win 2 games, see what happens.
Yeah. If this doesn't work out, if they don't make the playoffs, is Klentak gone? Is he gone?
Instantly. You know, he doesn't see Tuesday morning. That guy, like 5 years, no winning. They're not going to have a winning record this year.
Right.
The best they can have is 500. That'll be 5 years without a winning record with a payroll over close to $200 million, and an owner that gave him, you know, opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. It's him, and McPhail's got to follow him right out the door. In many ways, Klentak was entry level when they brought him in. One of these guys, smartest guy in the room. He's from Dartmouth. He was this. He did that. He knows what you don't. He's going to figure out all the analytics and reinvent the game. Okay, but McPhail, that guy has been around literally the third generation of McPhails.
Right.
A lot of them were fairly, pretty successful over the years. You could tell me he can't pick out a pitcher at this point in his life? I don't even know if he tried. I thought he was a little bit misquoted or taken out of context a hair with the "if we don't comment" last year. But it did speak to his patience here, and 5 years is too much patience with either of those two guys. If they sneak their way into the playoffs and win a few rounds or something, and get back to me. But the way it looks now is Tuesday at noon. See ya.
Wow. So but you know, and the irony of all this is that Gabe Kapler could take one of those spots. If he does that, you're right. I think he is gone on Tuesday, because if the Giants, and you know, Gabe Kapler couldn't do anything with this team, and so that is a strange irony of this whole situation coming down.
All right, so it's it would just be so Philadelphia, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
You couldn't write that if you tried. And all of a sudden, Gabe Kapler is going to knock him out. That's what's going to happen. I'll put it this way. Don't write off the possibility of Gabe Kapler blowing this himself. So.
Oh yeah, well they were winning last night too. They were about to beat San Diego, and Fernando Tatis, gets them. I mean, it was almost comedic to watch. Watching the highlights last night, I'm saying to myself, oh God, this is, I don't know how this is going to end. I'm just going to watch. You ever watch a movie, Jack, where you don't know anything about the movie, but you just want to see where the rabbit hole goes? Is that this weekend? Is that this whole weekend with the Phillies?
you know where it's headed. Yeah, it's like I said, the thing that keeps you intrigued is that it's an equal proposition that Kapler can blow it himself.
Yeah.
One of these teams is going to back in. It just might be the team that backs in. Just might be the one with Bryce Harper, who is just on fire right now.
Yeah.
And plus you have Wheeler and Nola the next 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best chance. And they got to keep them pitching. I don't care if they got 100 pitches by the 5th inning. They've got to stay on the field. They got to stay right there on that field, like Jackie Robinson told Don Newcomb. You better pitch until your arm falls off.
and if not, then Eflin better forego his bullpen day. He better be ready for bullpen duty. I don't care who they're talking about. Eflin's going to be the starter in the first game of the playoffs. You know what? Not if you need if it's between putting Zach Eflin in the game this weekend or putting in Brandon Workman, it better darn be Zach Eflin. I'll tell you that. And Eflin did say he'd be willing for that duty.
Wow. Or the other kid, Romero, that they brought in, because I was watching the Washington game. I watched both games of that doubleheader, and it was just, when that guy came in, the Phillies had a nice lead in game 2. I thought the Phillies would win game 2. They fell apart. They just fell apart. They came back to win the next. And I suspect if you got Nola and you got Wheeler on the mound, I like the Phillies' chances, but they got to go at least until the 7th inning or the 8th inning or something.
Oh, yeah, a minimum of 8. And you cross your fingers, and then if you need Eflin, you got him.
Right.
I mean, it's all hands on deck this weekend. And your hands on deck with the Phillies pitching staff are Wheeler, Nola, and Eflin, and then forget about it after that.
Right.
You got three guys. You got three guys who are capable. That's about it.
Wow.
Might be enough, though. It might be enough.
Right.
Not only that, you get in the playoffs. Well, there's three. You get three really good. It's kind of a convoluted team. They got three great ones at the top, and then.
Yeah. And you got one of the best offenses. I mean, I gotta say, when Bryce Harper gets going, I mean, but that whole line, everybody's capable of hitting the ball out of the park in that lineup, and that's the thing that makes this. If you're a Phillies fan, it's disheartening to watch because you got Bryce Harper, you got McCutchen, you got Gene Segura, you got Didi Gregorius, you got Alex Baum. You got guys that can hit. Even Scott Kingery can put the ball out of the park on one pitch. I mean, this offense can do it all, and yet, I'm wondering what the guys, what the position players are saying, because when we talk to them, it's always, well, we got to pick everybody up, but I know deep down inside somebody has to say, man, y'all, somebody has had to gone back to the bullpen and say, if y'all guys don't get it right today, we ought to just leave your butts down in Tampa Bay. We might as well just leave. Because there has to be some seething frustration underneath everything.
Absolutely. You've been around enough clubhouses and locker rooms, Chris. You know how that is. They know, and you know what? They're probably to the point where they're saying it out loud. It goes like this. They ignore it, then they kind of say it in a funny manner, then they just say it. It's like that they've just had enough. They've just had enough with this bullpen. And it's 100% on Clentak and McPhail. And why do you say that? Because they're the ones that were put in charge of identifying talent.
Right.
Don't look at me. What do I know if Brandon Workman's good or not? I trust those guys to have an idea. Brandon Workman is completely inept. He belongs in the Pendel League. He doesn't. It's so bad that you saw the one game where after the game, Real Muto had Girardi's ear in the dugout for 10 minutes talking about how these guys will not attack the zone. They don't put the ball over the plate. Workman can't get it over the plate. He's got Steve Blass disease, I think. I really believe that. He can't get it over the plate at all.
Right. So how would you, at the end of this year, no matter whether they make the playoffs or not, how would you evaluate Joe? I think Joe Girardi, he's done a good job. Be honest about it. I think he's done a better job than Kapler. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but I like Girardi. I mean, I like what he made. Or am I being fooled by the fact that he's great with the media? I mean, I don't know.
Media, but he's got 1,000 wins. So,
right.
So it's not like we're being fooled by a guy that's had a couple good games. The guy's got 1,000 wins. He's got a world championship. So we know that he can manage. It was really, really unfortunate that he was made to manage with that bullpen.
Right.
And it was he's kind of alluded to it. It was a convoluted season, and everybody had a convoluted season. But the Phillies were thrown into some strange situations because they had that, what was it, a week to 10 days off at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Stuff that they did because the Marlins had positive tests, and that threw them into all those double headers. So now you're doing double headers with that bullpen. So now you're really compounding what's bad. You're making it doubly bad on the same day, and it made it tough. But you know what? Joe Girardi's getting paid top dollar for a manager. Figure it out. I'll give him a solid C+ to a B this year. But, and see what he'll show me something if he can steal this playoff spot and then do something in the playoff.
Okay. One more thing before I let you go and whatnot. You've been following the Eagles situation with some of the good reporting by my man Bob Groats and everything. What do you think of Wentz before you go? What's wrong with Carson Wentz?
That's a great question. It's he's injury prone.
Yeah.
And he's not what they expected him to be. And I've said it on your show and every show that asked me before. I was all in on Nick Foles. Imagine me pushing all the chips in. I'll take Foles. You know what? I'm all in on Jalen Hurts. You mark my words. That
Wow.
guy is going to be a better quarterback than Carson Wentz. Now, does it have to be tomorrow? No, not tomorrow. But at some point, that's where this is headed. Now, where you go from Wentz is good. He's very good. He's not great, and he's not going to be great because he's been injured too often.
Wow.
That's my opinion. And you know, if I could just throw one hedge out there, just on a short-term hedge.
Yeah.
Don't be fooled by first two games of an NFL season. We don't draw any I think the Eagles win tomorrow 33-6. They just throw it out there, and just when you think something can't be fixed, all of a sudden it's different than you think it is. So they're good for a couple wins every once in a while. But your question was Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is never going. You see the separation that Goff is opening up with him. The number one, number two pick in the same draft. Separation's there, and what's his name? Jalen Hurts can really play, and that's where this is headed. When it's headed there is up to Carson Wentz. That's when but
wow.
Carson Wentz has first crack at it. Carson Wentz, they don't win a Super Bowl in 17 without Wentz. So even though he wasn't in the he was an MVP candidate that year, and they wouldn't be where they were without him. But he's flattened, he's plateaued, and Hurts is the quarterback of the future for the Eagles, and Wentz just might be the quarterback somewhere else, and that could be, it might be the best for him at some point for a change of scenery. But Hurts is the future of the Eagles quarterback situation.
All right, Jack, thank you so much. You be at the ballpark tomorrow, or?
I won't. I won't be there. We don't have credentials. Bob Gross will be there representing the Daily Times. We only got one credential because of the way they are limiting press box access. But you'll be there, and I'll be looking forward to what you write and say. And thanks for having me on, Chris. Appreciate it.
No problem, man. All right, we got to go to break. You're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM WRD Black Talk Media. We'll be right back. And thanks, Jack, for being on the show. Thanks.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
But they've got the experience.
I'm still in shock 3 or 4 years later that we're in this position now. Our democracy is at a pivotal point.
From the top, we don't trust our government. We see the trouble we're in economically. We've got 170,000 Americans dead, and yet this president will do anything he can to make it seem like things are better than they are.
I did more for the black community than anybody with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln.
It's our responsibility. If we don't lead that effort to make things better, we can't ask other people to do it. There is no good reason not to vote.
Right, we need to have individuals that are in office like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
They are our best shot to take us forward.
And that's what makes me incredibly hopeful, but we really do have to work for this thing.
To the thousands who did not vote, we need you to show up for our future and for our country.
You cannot sit on the sidelines. You got to get game.
Paid for by Biden for president.
This is Councilmember Derek Green. We need everyone to be counted in the 2020 census to get the money we need to recover from COVID-19. The census brings money to Philly for education, healthcare, food, public safety, and so much more. For every person who isn't counted, Philly loses over $20,000 in funds over the next decade. We can't let that happen. September 30th is the deadline. Go to 2020census.gov or call 1-844-330-2020. Get counted, Philly.
The 2020 census is a snapshot of the American population. Count as Caribbean and fill out the census by mail, by phone, and online at 2020census.gov. No immigration or citizenship questions. Made possible by Caribbean Community in Philadelphia and Philly Counts.
Tune in this Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. for the Islam Today show with a perspective on moral guidance and Islamic principles and values.
Hey, love, sincerely Sarita here with great news for your livelihood. If you're an entrepreneur, have a side hustle, or are interested in technology and how it impacts our community, you don't want to miss Chroma 2020, a virtual conference and community presented by Black and Brown founders. Registration options to Chroma range from 100% free to exclusive access. WURD Radio is a proud media partner for this event. Mark your calendars for the week of September 28th to October 2nd and meet us there. Forward members have an exclusive offer. You get 50% off the 30-day replay. Check your email for the code. In the meantime, visit chroma2020.com to reserve your ticket or learn more today.
Trump spends his time golfing, while COVID-19 hits the Black community hard. It's not just wrong, it's immoral. We need Joe Biden. Joe takes COVID-19 seriously and understands the economic and health impact it's had on our community. Joe will listen to the medical experts, and he will protect Obamacare. Trump, he won't even wear a mask. Request a ballot now. Make a plan to vote. Our lives depend on it. Paid for by Ask Me People, which is responsible for the content of this ad. AskMePeople.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent Black media.
Okay, we are back. And, wow, interesting show today. You know, from a purely sports standpoint, interesting show. So we tend to believe that somehow that Wentz, I mean, I still think that when they drafted Jalen Hurts, that was more or less a cynical move on the part of the organization. I mean, and the thing is, I believe what Chris Murray believes, and forgive me for referring to myself in the third person as a second person first, but don't. What I believe in this situation is that I'm wondering if Carson is pressing because looming in the shadows is Jalen Hurts. Looming back there, you know, that if he messes, if he has a couple of bad games, and I'm like Jack, I think the Eagles will come out and beat the crap out of the Cincinnati Bengals tomorrow just on GP.
Yep, I think so too.
And the thing is, and then everybody will be semi-happy again. And then now the San Francisco game, they could probably win in San Francisco because San Francisco was like, you know, Ward 13 hurt. Everybody is just like in the
Jimmy G.
Yeah,
down.
Jimmy G is down. I mean, Bosa's out for the season.
Yep.
Raheem Mostert is out. They lost a lot of players. So that, and then the thing is, with the way thing now, in defense of everything, Carson and the Eagles, this is the second game. They didn't have a preseason. You know, even Miles Sanders said that he wasn't that much in shape. You know, they have to kind of watch his time out on the field. So in defense, you got to look at everything. You know, we may, like I said, I may have a comical take on whatever and all that, but when you look at everything in its totality, and that's the journalist in me trying to come out, when you look at everything, you got to take into consideration. But then again, everybody is going through it. But for some teams that affects, you know, let's face it, some teams are affected more than others. When we say, a lot of times we used to say that the 2-week lull between the Super Bowl, I've never been a fan of the 2-week lull between the Super Bowl. I'm just me. Because I just want to see that, you know, let these guys play. Same thing in college football. This month-long lull, just play it out. Because it doesn't give, because a lot of times the better teams are going to adjust to it than, say, other teams with the better athletes are going to adjust to it. But, okay, I get that. But, you know, the Eagles, you know, I think it's because they don't have, you know, maybe they didn't have luxury of the preseason, OTAs. But then again, no one did. So it's just happening. So maybe, and I think you do need the preseason. I really believe you need the preseason. I've argued with people over the years, oh, you don't need the preseason. Yes, you do. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. And you need it. You need it to work out the kinks, to work out. Even if you play for one series, you know, you got to work that stuff out. So 215-634-8065. You know, the thing I hadn't had a chance to do that today because people just called in. People are just calling in, and so I asked a question earlier. Who's a better quarterback right now? Dak Prescott for the hated Dallas Cowboys, Jordan, you might. We got to get a boo soundtrack. And every time we mention the Cowboys, boo.
Sounds good to me. I think we got one too.
Yeah, you need a boo soundtrack in here every time I mention the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm semi-neutral because I'm from Baltimore, and and the thing is, my favorite team. And I've always, I've always kind of liked the Cowboys just because everybody hates them. And I'm the type of person that, I always consider myself the original Everybody Hates Chris. See, Chris Rock didn't own that franchise. I do and whatnot because I remember when I was coming, everybody hated me. Okay, so from that perspective, I'm just saying that I find the hatred of the Cowboys rather comical on a lot of levels and whatnot, and some of it is understandable because some Cowboys fans can be rather annoying.
Yep.
So we got Jim from West Philly. Jim, how's it going, man?
Good. How's it going?
Man, I'm doing my thing. As that old schoolhouse rhyme, I'm doing my thing in action. I'm doing the verb thing. So.
Well, that's a good thing. Let me tell you what the Eagles' problem is, and I'm not an expert on the Eagles like a lot of your callers and yourself, but I try to look at the Eagles and the Sixers, but let's stay with the Eagles objectively. And you had some great people on your show today.
Thank you.
But the problem that I see with the Eagles is the play calling by that idiot Peterson.
Don't call Peterson, but go on. All right, no, I'm just messing with you, but go on.
Peterson, you won the Super Bowl, but it was because of Frank Wright, who went to Indianapolis, and Schwartz, the defense coordinator at that time. Okay? Peterson, you were a quarterback coach, and we all know when they give a job to a quarterback coach, that's like, let's find a job for this guy because we don't want to fire him.
Right.
Peterson, what is Wentz's options? Okay, are you saying Wentz to Hurts? Wentz to Hurts? Okay, if that's the play calling you are giving Wentz, then you're going to destroy that guy. Okay, number one.
Right.
What is the play calling by Peterson? Is Peterson calling all of the plays and telling Wentz?
Well, you got a whole variety of guys. Press Taylor. I mean, there are a lot of guys, and the question that a lot of reporters are asking is that are there too many cooks in the kitchen? And are there too many people spoiling, I don't know, what's that, spoiling the soup? Something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
There ain't too many cooks in the kitchen. There's one cook in the kitchen that doesn't know how to cook, and that's Peterson.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, some people will argue that. I mean, the thing is, like I said, I was on the Monday Zoom press conference, and I don't know. I'm no expert at this, but I just asked well, Doug, do you think you're going to put him in positions to, the lesson, to do what coaches normally do, give him a run the football? And he looked at me, and he was being sarcastic, and I understand because he was doing that with a lot of other reporters, and he was saying, yeah, well, that's a good idea, as if to say, call. I guess he was trying to call me a dumbass or something. And that's fine. Okay, that's fine. I can live with that. All right, cool. But the thing is that your quarterback has been inaccurate, and a lot of times, and the way you adjust to that is put him in a situation, build this guy, because this guy's confidence is at an all-time low with heavy trading. Okay, and it's bad enough that the organization has brought in Jalen, and I like Jalen Hurts. I'm not slamming him personally, but it's bad enough that you got this kid who's really good, who's really, really a good quarterback, waiting in the wings.
Yeah, he could be starting somewhere else or something.
Right, and you could argue. Thank you, Jordan. Mm-hmm. He could be starting somewhere else. And if I'm a quarterback, it's hard sometimes. Some people can't handle. When you got somebody over your head, you're right. I mean, that's in any profession. This guy over here, man, he's, and the thing is, you try to work, and sometimes it's human nature. It's human nature. Thank you for the call, Joe. I appreciate it. Jim, I'm sorry, that it's human nature to kind of feel not threatened, but you feel your butt on the line, and you're gonna either sink, swim, or a combination of both. I mean, however you feel about that, and sometimes when you take that burden off, you tend to perform a lot better. So I've seen some quarterbacks do that. I've seen some quarterbacks kind of go other places. I think that Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers were in the same place, and basically, they sent Drew Brees off to New Orleans. He becomes a good quarterback. So we got Joe from West Oak Lane.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing okay.
Good. Yeah, they have a bad quarterback, same for the Eagles, and people making a lot of excuses for him, but the organization gave this guy a $100 million contract. So if he was a black man, nobody would be making any excuses for his inaccuracy. He feels pressured, and he's had somebody looking over his shoulders. Nobody would be saying a thing. All they would be saying was, I haven't heard this since McNabb left town, that he can't get the job done.
Well, something.
I have not heard that phrase since.
Right. But something about McNabb, and I'm wondering if people at home, don't you appreciate Donovan McNabb? McNabb still won with all the criticism. You can make the debate about the Hall of Fame. I think he should be in there for nothing else. But
he has the numbers.
Right, he has the numbers, and I think he's won a lot of games, and a lot of people around the NFL that thought he was one of the most dangerous quarterbacks in the league. And McNabb if McNabb had a bad game, or if McNabb sneezed, or he answered a question in a certain way, McNabb got roundly criticized. Oh my God. And he was doing good. He was leading the teams in the playoffs. The only thing McNabb could not do was win the Super Bowl. He did everything else, and it's not entirely his fault. The defense in some of those NFC Championship games didn't show up. Where's Brian Dawkins and some other guys? And I'm not saying it's on them, but a lot, everybody was expecting McNabb to do, and they paid him $100 million too. Okay, so from that standpoint, do you appreciate me? McNabb was doing at the same juncture of his career. He was like in the playoffs. What, his second or third year? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was in the playoffs.
He went to the playoffs.
And so he and he still got a lot of flack. I mean, he still got a lot of flack from people. The whole Rush Limbaugh thing. And all notwithstanding, they got on the guy for that, and and the thing is, they say, he's just there because he's just a black quarterback, and I'm like, I'm looking at him, are you kidding me? And
he didn't have many weapons. He didn't have many weapons throughout his whole career, and he still was pulling rabbits out of the hat almost every year.
Right.
And I want to switch over to the Sixers for a minute.
Yeah.
I think if I hear these two names that's on the table for the new coach, and if it was up to me, I would hire Jason Kidd or Mark Jackson.
Jason Kidd or Mark Jackson. Okay, those are good. Those are good choices. I can see Jason Kidd as someone there for Ben Simmons. And so that's interesting. We had to go to break, right?
Yeah, we gotta go.
We had to go to break. Joe, first of all, thank you for the call and all that. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WRD, Black Talk Media. The Chris Murray Report will be right back.
If you're eligible for Medicare in 2021, you could have a chance to win one of 4 great prizes, like dinner prepared by a local chef and home fitness equipment. When you enter to win, you'll also receive a free COVID-19 News You Need booklet. Visit www.ibxmedicare.com/healthy advice to enter. Independence Blue Cross offers products through its subsidiaries Independence Hospital Indemnity Plan, Keystone Health Plan East, and QCC Insurance Company, independent licensees of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association.
Always Best Care is a great place to work. Flexibility,
leadership, purpose,
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
Diversity, inclusion,
compasión.
We love our jobs.
If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate Team Green. You can apply online at teamgreenabc.com or call 267-909-9248.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
No fear, just facts. This is WURD, Independent Black Media.
During these unprecedented times, we're creating a lot of extra trash, and that means delays across the city with curbside collection. That's why we have some simple tips that will help you to reduce curbside waste and collection delays. Reduce food waste by using garbage disposals or composting, and limit bulk waste to 2 items per household. Set out trash properly. That means using sturdy trash bags and covering containers with lids. Make sure your trash bags are not heavier than 40 pounds. Set out trash no earlier than 7 p.m. before your collection day and 7 a.m. the day of collection. And remember, you can drop off materials at sanitation convenience centers 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Last and most importantly, thank our sanitation workers for their hard work during these challenging times. We all have a role to play to curb our waste and help our city. Learn more at philadelphiastreets.com.
Have you heard about Penny? They make it easier than ever to get health coverage.
What if I'm self-employed?
Penny gets you covered.
Unemployed?
Penny gets you covered.
What about my family?
Penny gets them covered too.
But will this fit into my budget?
Penny can connect you to financial help to lower the cost.
Really? Where do I go?
Easy. Just go to PENNIE.com.
In the community with Stacy Scott on Word Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. This Sunday, September 27th from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Focusing on education in the time of COVID-19.
You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Independent Black Media.
Okay, we're back. I was just talking to Jordan about the old school rivalries and all this other stuff, Redskins, Cowboys, Steelers, Raiders, where people really, I mean, some of the rivalries in those days, those guys really hated each other. I mean, the Raiders and the Steelers, 49ers, Cowboys, Cowboys, formerly Washington Redskins, those teams. I remember in '79 when the Cowboys had this comeback against Washington and knocked them out of the playoffs. Harvey Martin, I think it was Harvey Martin that took a reef, or it was Ed Too Tall Jones. He took a Christmas wreath and brought it, like a funeral wreath to the Washington locker room. I mean, that's the kind of stuff, kind of antics about rivalry. Now we got BG from Germantown. BG, go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, Brother Chris?
I'm doing okay.
I just want to give a rest in peace for Gale Sayers.
Oh, man.
Ever, man. This guy was phenomenal. He's Barry Sanders before Barry Sanders.
He was Barry Sanders, O.J. Simpson, and all those guys before that. I mean, you know something? This year I've told my lovely fiance, you know what I want for Christmas? I said, Denise, when I heard that Gale Sayers died, I want that throwback jersey. I have Lenny Moore. I have Roberto Clemente. There's a list of, and I'm not a collector, but there's certain guys I want. And the NFL is Unitas, Lenny Moore, not so much Walter Payton, Gale Sayers, but Walter Payton. Okay, you can say Walter Payton. But there's certain players that Paul Hornung, old white guy, played with Green Bay. Love that guy. That guy could play. That kind of thing. And Gale Sayers, I was 6 years old watching him just run all over the place. And one of the things that, I don't know if I was traumatized. Trauma is a little too harsh. But I remember I was at my grandmother's house, and I used to sneak upstairs to watch the football highlights. I was 6 years old. I had to sneak upstairs, watch CBS, Bruce Roberts' Pro Football Report. That's what it was called back in the day. And I remember I turned it on, and the horror I felt when they wheeled Gale Sayers off the field at Wrigley Field and whatnot back in the day. And I was like, oh, no, not... Because that guy was one of my favorite... As a kid, I loved that guy. I mean, he was just darting all over the place, even when he played against the Colts.
He's one of those guys that even like Jim Brown and all great runners of that era appreciated him the way a lot of great runners today appreciated Barry Sanders, just because they made running such an art form. It's like ballet, watching them. It's like watching Dr. J dunk or watching LeBron or any, they just did was pizzazz, you know what I mean?
Right. And Gale Sayers was just like, and he was quiet. He never celebrated in the end zone. He scored 6 touchdowns in the game. Flipped the ball back to the official, this guy, that's how great a player Gale Sayers was. I mean, and the thing about it, and it's what he became in his career after football.
Yeah.
One of the first
man, a great business. I got his book. He's got a really good autobiography called
I Am Third.
Yeah, that's a great book. I got a lot of those old sports books, and I was looking through it.
I read that book when I was 13 years old.
Autobiography, man. Excellent book.
Yeah. I read, like I said, I was 12 years old when I first read I Am Third. And one of the things he said in there, it says, it says, my family's first, my friends are second, and I am third. That is such a wonderful spiritual outlook. They said the Lord is first, my family and friends are second, and I am third.
Yeah, that'd be a great way for a lot of us to live our lives that way.
Right. And I read that book, and I read about his career and how he coped with the knee injury, his friendship with Brian Piccolo. And, a lot of people still cry. I know my man Darryl Bell wrote a beautiful column about, the anniversary of the movie Brian's song.
That was a really good movie. They did 2 versions of it. I remember I grew up the one with Billy D. Williams and James Caan, but I think they did a remake of it too. I forgot. I think Carl Weathers and somebody else was in it.
Right. Well, I'm going to tell you, the first one, if you didn't come, when there was not a dry eye with the first one, because it was like, especially, at the scene where they were about to play the Colts in '69. I remember watching that game. That game was actually played at Wrigley Field. But the thing about it, he says, look, Brian Piccolo's very sick, and it was just, I almost cried at that point, because if you had a teammate, and you had to remember back then, cancer killed both Vince Lombardi and Brian Piccolo that year. And I remember at the Super Bowl where they paid tribute to both of those guys. And, Gale Sayers, and it's a shame that his career, he was a 69 comeback player of the year, but in 77, I mean, it was just, before we had all the innovations with ACLs and all that, if Gale Sayers had that injury, in this era, he would have still had a long career.
Yeah,
he would have.
Man, you can't help when you was born, but in a short period of time, in 4 years, he still made the Hall of Fame, 4 or 5 years, and that's unheard of.
Right.
Got to play that short a period of time.
But he was that great.
Thing, I think it's just, I think we tend to overrate people, anoint people to greatness too quickly. You had a 13-game sample, and people put this guy in the Hall of Fame, and I always will say this. You never get rid of the guy that win you the championship. I know Nick Foles is a scrub everywhere he goes, but he got magic here in Philly. I'd have kept Nick Foles, because guess what? What shows the validity of it is when Carson Wentz next year got hurt, and Nick Foles rallied the team to the playoffs. Sometimes chemistry is something that guys have with each other, and I don't know why, because when Chip Kelly got rid of him the first time, he was playing well. He went to the Rams, he's a scrub. He came back. He wins the Super Bowl. He leaves there. He's a scrub again. But in Philly always gets rid of the wrong guy. They got rid of Wilt Chamberlain, Moses, Jimmy Buckets, Randall, and he went and got an MVP, Reggie White. Philadelphia always seems to get rid of the wrong guy. And I think they were ego invested because they wanted Carson Wentz to be the guy. But Nick Foles was the guy. And the ghost of Nick Foles is hanging over this guy's head, and he can't get over it. Just like that guy Maurice said earlier, it's in his head now, and that's a lot of pressure. Because if he doesn't win the Super Bowl, he's a failure to people.
Yeah, and not only does Nick Foles still renting space in his head, problem, although he would say he's not, but he's looking over his shoulder at Jalen Hurts. And when you're looking over your shoulder, sometimes you don't perform well. I don't care who you are as a human being. Yeah. I'm talking about regular human beings with feelings and all that, not people like Michael Jordan. But you don't really do well when you have that thing. And it's, I mean,
Grant, that's just not the guy to me. Because guess what? It's about competition. I don't like when they get we want him to be comfortable. They should have kept Nick Foles as a backup. It would have helped him last year because this guy's injury prone. You would have had him as a backup to help you win the game. But also, if a guy can't compete If he's worried about the backup, then he ain't the guy anyway, because you're supposed to, your performance, you know what? You don't have to worry about Jalen Hurts, Nick Foles, anybody. If you perform like you're supposed to, like if you live up to that money they're giving you.
Yeah, that's true. BG, I got to move on to my good friend Ann from Logan Township, New Jersey. Ann, how are you? Good to see you back on.
Pretty good. You know, Chris, you mentioned your lovely fiance, Denise. Let me tell you, Denise has been on a couple of nights with Tiffany Bacon, and it's always a treat to hear from Denise, because I just believe that she is so versatile and she's knowledgeable about a lot of different subjects. So I always like to hear her on these airwaves. Now, I want to say something about LeBron James.
Okay.
I love his statement that he made when there was no charges to these officers who killed Breonna Taylor.
Right.
He said that black women are the most disrespected people, but he said he honored them, and he said these black queens all over. And I was so happy that he said that, because that's something I believe, too. I believe that black women are the most disrespected people worldwide, because even with Kamala Harris running, you have these white men. Now, people heard me say this on the airwaves multiple times. They have been calling her out of her name, and they feel so comfortable even name-calling and disrespecting black women, because when Frederica, the congresswoman, was standing up for the soldier that Trump went after and stuff, and there were these guys that called her these kind of names and so forth. So LeBron James is right. Black women are the most disrespected people. No question about it, hands down. Now, Charles Barkley, okay, I wanted to get on that subject, because I didn't catch Germantown Joe at the beginning of your show and stuff, but Germantown Joe says things that I agree with, and he usually beat me to the punch. Now, the statement that Charles Barkley made, that was uncalled for. What did he open his mouth for to make that statement about Breonna Taylor's boyfriend? He was the one who shot first and stuff like that. That was uncalled for Charles Barkley to do that. And one of the things I don't like about Charles Barkley, he makes a lot of money off the backs of these mostly black athletes, because I've even heard him call them idiots and things of that nature. And I'm like, how you carried yourself when you played, and you're being critical of these guys and so forth?
Yeah. Did he spit on somebody? Yeah.
Yeah, yes he did.
Yeah.
He's been in a couple of fights and stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but see, here's the thing, and I agree with you 100%, because I do think that, it goes back to somebody breaking into our home. Like, Denise does not want me to have a gun in the household, because somebody break into the home. I'm gonna be at 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. Somebody's firing. You don't know what's going on. I mean, and they're shooting and stuff like that, and you're armed and whatnot. Hey, I'm gonna fire back. But like I said, and Kentucky is one of those laws. Your home is your castle. But apparently, these things never apply to black people. You had the Black Panthers marching into Sacramento years ago. And then all of a sudden, you got these white militia people. The Black Panthers get called out by Ronald Reagan back in the day and all this stuff. And the militia people, Fox News just show, they're Americans with their First Amendment rights. See, if there's a double standard, and I got to end this show because we're running out of time. But the thing is, that is a double standard. Ladies and gentlemen, we are done. I want to thank all my guests, Joe Sanliquido, Jack McCaffrey, you the callers, you the listeners, for hanging in with us today. We will see you next week on the Chris Murray Report on WURD.
Brand new race. The prize is nice, feel no pain. Love the taste. face.